There was a time in academic studies where the so-called history of religion school used to dominate. And their claim was that Jesus was borrowed from mystery cults or other ancient myths, and the Jesus in the Gospels is kind of a composite image where all these different strains of mythological figures come together. What Paul was teaching about Jesus, he borrowed from mystery religions and things like that. Well, the history of religion school has been dealt with already, and it's not so much taken seriously anymore. But in the sphere of internet, it has made a resurrection. For example, the movie Zeitgeist resurrected the idea that Jesus, the figure of Jesus, is kind of is borrowed from the old myths of Egyptian gods, Horus, Isis, or from Indian mythologies of Krishna, whom all of these different figures, they said that they performed miracles, were born a virgin, and things like that. But when you look closely those claims, you notice that first of all, these similarities are either very superficial, or they are invented, or they don't exist in the lives of those mythical figures, or that the sources that are used are very late. For example, the Indian sources that tell about the life of Krishna are much later than the New Testament. For example, somewhere on the 5th or 6th century, or maybe from the 11th century after Christ. So if there is any borrowing happening, it's probably from the Gospels and from the Christianity towards these Indian mythologies. And this is a very big problem for this claim that the story of Jesus is kind of a copy of these ancient myths. I would say that one does have to be very careful with all these claims that the stories of Jesus were borrowed. We have very early testimony, eyewitness testimony in the Gospels about Jesus, and as the Christianity spread to different cultures, they of course incorporated some parts of the Jesus story into their mythologies. I think this is very safe to say.